nurturing our politics in our institution of development. We would like to have a session of comments, questions. Please raise your hand. Yeah.
Politician, environmentalist, and engineer, whatever resolved into one. There is a belief in Bihar, especially that the problem sort of Kosi River, flooding and all, the ultimate solution lies inside Nepal. So, what do you have to say about it? And along with that, Nepal being a landlocked country, for many years it wanted to reach the rest of the world through a waterway and via Kosi regarding Nepal.
Okay. You asked a question that really I wanted to talk about. I'll talk. First of all, this whole idea of controlling the Kosi by building this Kosi high dam. In engineering, the problem we say, and some of us, that anything is possible at a price. The question is not that. You can always build a wall in a river, you can always build a hole in a mountain for a tunnel, you can do these things. This is textbook engineering, it's not a problem. The problem is the cost. I have said that I can build a nuclear power plant on top of Mount Everest. If you can run a buggy on Mars, that car, remote control, like your kids who play, that's what they did. These are big kids, these are big kids who play, from NASA. Okay. If you can do that, you can build a nuclear power plant on top of Mount Everest. The question is at what cost? And then the next question is a moral question, should you be spending that cost? Okay. So Kosi High Dam has the same problem. There is the whole question of cost. There's a whole question of cheaper alternatives that we have not even examined from our hydrological perspective that I mentioned. That the solution to the floods in Bihar lie also within Bihar. And nobody is doing things within Bihar. How about handling, the houses on stilts that I mentioned, for instance, okay? And things like that, okay? And going for these different type of cropping patterns. You are getting free silt, Baba. This is millions and millions of dollars worth of fertilizer. There's that side to look at also. So there are solutions, even technical and social and other solutions within Bihar, within Nepal. I do not think that Kosi High Dam can be built easily. It's such a challenging thing. If you stand on that Chatra Gorge and look at it during the time of flood, it is frightening. That river has 3 rivers coming and meeting there who have 3 different hydrological characteristics. And one dam here is not going to handle those 3 characteristics. And the sedimentation there, nobody knows how to flush it out. So a life of a high dam, spending so much money there will not be very much. First of all. And second, even there is a technical problem, When we build a dam, one of the things we have to do is divert the water during construction. Okay? So that you can build the dam and build it up. Okay? And then once the dam is complete, you seal that diversion tunnel. Okay? Frankly, I'll tell you, I have not yet met one engineer who can tell me with certainty how big that diversion tunnel should be on the coast. On an average flow, I can design you a tunnel. But the trouble in Kosi is that you get 9 lakh cubic. Now tell me, what kind of a tunnel do you need to have for 9 lakh cubic? Nobody knows how to build that kind of a tunnel. Okay? The trouble is, it may not happen next year. It may not happen during the 5-year construction of a dam. But it could happen tomorrow. That's probability. The probability means it's not that it's going once in a 1,000-year probability. Doesn't mean it will happen after 1,000 years. It could happen tomorrow and not happen for another 1,000. Okay. So there is that first question. Second is that, instead of Kosi High Dam, you could do many other solutions of smaller dams all over the whole Kosi river. That would be partly, there not every dam fails simultaneously all the time.
So Bihar or in Nepal?
In Nepal also. Okay. So you can do that also. Okay. Now, that's one side. Now, question is, why would Nepalese like to drown their villages permanently so that villages in Bihar don't have flood? Somebody give me an answer. Somebody explain this to Nepalese. Okay. It is possible if we get paid for it. Question is, how much should we be paid for it? How much we will ask? How much do we need to pay? That debate has never really taken place in the last 60 years.
You're raising the embankment in Bihar also. Nepal objects because.
No, it's not. Magnet we have no problem you raise on your side as long as you don't flood our side.
Yeah.
So what India or UP and Bihar, UP more than Bihar actually, UP is a bigger contractor. They have built embankments 4 meters high and they call it a road. So first of all, you don't build in 10 gaja. 10 gaja is 10 gaja. Okay. And if you build, you are free to build roads in Uttar Pradesh, wherever you want. But you should not build it at 4 meters so that it starts flooding on the Nepali side. This is the problem. So Saptari the other day, you had Yadavs of Nepal fighting Yadavs of Bihar, which you saw it on TV, right? Okay. So this is the problem in the border area. So it had nothing to do with Padias versus Tarai or something. It was Yadav versus Yadavs. Bihar Yadavs versus Saptari Nepali Yadavs. Yeah. So this is a problem. Okay. Now that is the technical side. Now, if you tell me that, by building a Kosi High Dam, Nepal gets much bigger benefits, I don't think Nepalis are so stupid to say, okay, we make a lot of benefit, okay, we have down there, but we make new cities from all this money and we do other things, okay. That proposal has not come. I have just written an article, and this 2 days of international meeting, 3 days I was at Taj Palace, it has come from that, with the World Bank, Australian government, and a whole lot of the IFC and all. It's a big international meeting. And my article was discussed very heavily because this article came out in Spotlight, and now Third Pole has republished an article of mine. It's a website out of Britain. And Joydeep Gupta is the editor of that. And also RCSS in Colombo has picked it up and has put it. Now my article was basically, I attended the meeting in mid-July in Meghalaya, Shillong. This was a meeting by, it's called the Nandy Conference. And it was by the government of Meghalaya and the Indian central government. And all the chief ministers of that area were there. Bangladesh had a 148-member delegation led by 2 ministers. From Nepal, there was only one joker and one journalist. That's all, okay. So I ended up sitting on just about every panel there. Chief Minister of Mizoram, Chief Minister of I don't know, all kinds of. And interesting, in that meeting, I came out very excited as a water engineer, because for the first time, the whole conference was dominated by what the government of India has passed in March, the 111 waterways, rivers to be declared as waterways. Why I found that very exciting. Now, this is something, if it goes forward, will be several generations before it's done, okay? In my time, I will not see all these things, nor will Jayant, But if we initiate it, it will be very nice. Declaring it waterways means several things. One, no region of the world has ever developed without developing internal waterways. The Mississippi River is navigable from the Gulf of Mexico all the way to the Canadian border. The Rhine is navigable from the North Sea all the way to Switzerland. Okay? The Volga is navigable all the way from the Black Sea via the Don to Volga-Don Canal, and from that all the way to the Baltic Sea. All the way to Baltic Sea, to St. Petersburg. Now, these kind of this is not meant for flying passengers and all that. People can fly. That's not bulk goods, construction materials, cement, clinker, grain, coal. These heavy goods can be transported, and it's not a question of time. You can take a month to transport. It doesn't matter. Cheaper. It is 4,000 times cheaper in energy terms. So this is why the regions are prosperous. Now look at China. I know that in India, you like to say China, India, we're competing. The Chinese don't say that. The Chinese say we are not competing with India, we are competing with the United States. Okay, this is what the Chinese say. Now what the Chinese have told me, and I found out, I mentioned this in the article, in 1984 China realized that their roads were getting congested, like your roads also. And with massive economic growth that started taking place in China. So quickly they realized that they have to get these heavy trucks and these things more out of the road. And they started building waterways. Today, in 20 years, half of China's internal trade takes place from waterways. Whereas in India, it is less than 4%. So this is what makes China economic power, you see. It's not anything else. Okay. So this decision by the Indian government, I understand it was the Indian National Congress-led government that first tabled it, and it didn't pass in the Rajya Sabha. Now it's passed. Okay. So I'm not saying who did it. To me as a Nepali, it's irrelevant whether the BJP did it or the Congress did it. The government of India did it, and I found it exciting. So first is the economic argument that if you build waterways, the whole region benefits. Now, second argument I have is ecological argument as an environmentalist, because now the current policy is to dry your rivers, suck all the water out and fill it up with sewer. At least if you run navigation, you've got to have water in the river first. Second, it has to be relatively clean, otherwise your bargemen will choke and die. Okay? So there is an ecological argument. Yes, it is not a free-flowing river and all that, but which river in our part of the world is free-flowing? Tell me, every river is used for the last 3,000 years. Okay? So I am, as an ecologist, in favor, because now you go to actually, if this alliance between those who want a clean river and those who want cheap consumer products can have an alliance and start a movement, I am all for it. That's the second ecological argument. The third argument I am making is, as a Nepali, I said, it's not just Nepalis. Uttarakhandis will not allow the Pacheswar High Dam to be built. Narendra Tiwari has made that statement. I have got a cutting, I have kept of it. He says, why should Uttarakhand, drown Uttarakhand villages so that sugar barons in UP get free water? Any good reason? I don't see any good reason. Same applies in Nepal, same applies in Arunachal, same applies in Bhutan. Bhutanis are not, they are built, it's a very small country. Don't, make a mistake comparing Nepal with Bhutan. See, Bhutan, 6 Bhutans will fit inside Kathmandu. Okay? And we are half the size of France. Nepal. So comparing, say, Nepal, Bhutan, this leads to a very wrong mindset in India and creates all kinds of problems that Modi just, faced himself now and we for 5 months of the blockade. Okay? Now, Arunachal has the same problem, Meghalaya has the same problem, but if tomorrow it can be said that a container from Yokohama, Japan can come all the way to Chhatrai in Nepal, or to whatever that Bumthang or whatever in Bhutan, via the Brahmaputra or something, up to Dibrugarh and up to Mizoram, Nagaland. I'm sure people there will say, okay, we are getting cheap goods, we are getting containers all the way, and our goods will be 1,000 times cheaper. Okay, we'll build a high dam, and from the savings that is there, we will build new cities and we'll build a more prosperous life. So there is now a chance that if the discourse moves to navigation in rivers, then first of all we clean our rivers. We have a connectivity from the Bay of Bengal all the way to the Himalayan foothills, a connectivity that is now politically saleable. Okay? And there is a chance to revive the rivers. Kosi, even Gandak and Karnataka, there is no reason why not. Because even a medium scale dam, forget the Kosi idea. Okay? If you build, let's say, the Vedseti project in West Nepal, the flow of the Karnali river at the minimum flow is something like 300 cubics during the month of March. Okay? And April it starts going up because the snow starts melting, but not much. The flood is something like 15, 17, 20,000 cubics. Yeah? Whereas the low season flow is only 300, okay, or less than 250. Okay. If you build the Vedseti, which is just a small dam on the storage dam on the tributary, the flow in the Karnali is about 2,000 cubics in the dry season. From 300 you go to 2,000, which means you can run barges, you can run boats, okay? You can allocate part of that flow to irrigation, part of it to navigation, part of it to fisheries. You can do so many things. Okay? So now the question is, how do you redefine the water and river discourse? Like I said before, I am an ecologist, environmentalist, okay, but I am not a Western environmentalist that says don't build dams. I say there's a hypocrisy of the West. You build all the dams, you have all the economic power, and you try to tell us to live in a zoo. It's not going to happen. Politically, it's not feasible. So I say no bad dams, not no dams, but no bad dams. So let us define what is a good dam, what is a bad dam. Let's have a discourse. Let's see how much the people whose villages are going to be drowned in the hills, how should they be compensated in a manner that they are better off than they were in the past. Okay? Not just compensated for land and all that. No, they should be better off than they were before. Because there is so much savings to be coming in terms of all kinds of benefits, including navigation, okay? And cheap goods. So this is where I think we should be taking our dialogue. I am not denying that this will have a lot of complications. Navigation, oh yeah, huge amount. I am not the least, under any illusion that there are no problems. There are 10,000 problems. But my concern here is that we are now in a position to go away from the 60 years of impasse and win-lose. Because if you go by allocation of water, then what you get, I don't get, what I get, you don't get. So So it's a win-lose, automatic, built-in. Whereas now you have possibilities of trade-offs in a wider basket. Then that means that, we can have, I win something here, but you win something else there. You have some flood control, but I have some navigation, and I have some electricity, you have some irrigation, and so many things like that. So the trick now is for us who are green socialists to take advantage of things like these, and I'm talking only in river and water and energy, but you can do the same thing on transport, you can do the same thing on health, you can do so many things and start this discourse of rethinking development. I think, this is my position. Yeah.
Speaking about green socialism, now if you take the green part of green socialism, a lot of technology comes in. For example, if we talk about green socialism, certain dangerous technologies like nuclear technology, possibly even thermal power has to be given up. Now coming to the socialism part, I think the basic thing which divides socialism and capitalism is everything is done for profit and for the market. So apart from all this sustainable technology and agriculture, don't you think green socialism will not be possible if we don't control or even make the role of market very minimum? I mean, goods should not be produced for exchanging in the market, but for people's use, what is called in the Marxist term, use value. Then you were talking about involving, communities, which means democracy basically. So, how do you see the link between, green socialism and democracy? How do you call it even ecological democracy?
Yeah, I mean, we can use different terms. Each term has limitations, so I accept that. But you're right. Green, ungreen, all technologies have dangers. Technology inherently is danger. The best word in China for dam apparently consists of two characters in Chinese for a dam, which is both a character that says danger and a character that says opportunity. So combination of danger and opportunity is the Chinese character for a dam. Okay. Means every technology has danger in it. Okay. I mean, I can take this glass and make it a weapon to kill somebody. Okay. This is also useful to drink water. Now the question is, with green socialism comes what I call social control of technology. I will give you a very simple example in Nepal of a research that I am in the middle of with DC Mod and others. We are trying to revive, there's a problem across the Himalaya, which is the springs are dry across the Himalaya. And we are in the business right now of trying to do things, scientific studies and all to revive springs, and we are doing work with villagers on recharging springs and recharge ponds and all that. Very successful results have come out. In fact, I was presenting that and the chief of DC Mod was also presenting that, David Golden, in this conference. Okay, this is a small bit of research, but we are very excited that it can go ahead now. Now, what turns out very interesting on this social control of technologies, in the hills, Sikkim, Bhutan, Nepal, Himachal, Uttarakhand, people don't drink in villages water from the streams. They drink water from the springs. Because spring is pure, it has come out. The spring, by the time it comes to the stream, it has got all kinds of muck and everything from wild animals to domestic animals and also humans, So you don't drink that, it's polluted water, okay? But spring water is quite pure. So people go to the springs, collect water. On an average, if it's a bad village, it can take an hour to go and collect a pot. But a normal village, maybe 20-25 minutes or something to go and collect water and come back, okay? If you needed 6 pots of water for your family, you collected 6 pots because there was no need to collect the 7th one because it's extra labor, number one. But more than that, there was a cultural factor. Something in Nepali called basi pani. Pani is water, but basi means stale. Now, stale water is water that has stayed overnight. You can use it for washing and all kinds of things, but you cannot use it for religious purpose, and you cannot use it for cooking rice and dal. 2 things. You cannot use it. You can use it for washing everything. Okay. Now, if that cultural control of technology meant that you did not bring the 7th pot if you didn't need the 7th pot of water. Now what has happened? PVC pipe, electric motor, turn it on, massive overpumping is going on. And there is no social control over that PVC pipe and the other modern technology of a pump now. So the question is, What you mentioned is correct. Every technology has a danger with it. But where is our governance thinking that tries to bring the social control over every technology? Don't you think these dangerous, whatever buses you had in Delhi running people all over, they needed a social control? Every technology. So on the one side, you have that. Okay. On the socialism side, I am a cultural theorist. It's a social science that talks about, institutional pluralism. What we argue is we need government. We need a bit of the market. We also need a bit of the critical civic movement. So a triad of all three keeps each other in balance. The mistake we have made is either the socialists have made a mistake by saying only government will control everything. And look at what happened, the Soviet Union collapsed. The swing in the other direction, Russia under Mr. Yeltsin, is a loot that market will do everything. At least now under Putin, they've come to realize they need a strong state, but they need a market also. But they also need, and this is missing in Russia still now, you need the strong civic voices that are critical voices, the moral voice, that comes out. So if you have a socialism part, in my definition, is not bureaucratic, red socialism. It is not at all blue, liberal, free market, whatever it is. It is a bit of blue, it is a bit of red, and it is a bit of the green on the side. So if you have that, then that's how you define the socialism part of it. So it's both social control of technology on one side and a pluralistic social order where you have all three legs of the stool, not just one, and not just one hegemonic voice. So I think we are moving in the wrong direction because now there's too much of a shift going still towards the market over here, that the market will do everything. Or at the other hand, there is a reaction, but it's all about, so the bureaucrats controlling more and more. And I think we are in danger unless we pluralize it much better. Yeah.
मैं कॉलेज को ये कहना चाहूँगी कि हमारे यहाँ बिहार से जो बाढ़ की बात आ रही है वो आपकी सारी बातें सही है पर साथ ही हमारे यहाँ के चीफ इंजीनियर जो बिहार सरकार के सलाहकार बने उन्होंने कहा कि हाँ टूटेगा बहुत से लोग मरेंगे मिलियंस लोग मरेंगे और उस पर अट्ठाहस किया तो जब हमारे यहाँ के पॉलिटिकल और इंजीनियर जो है इस तरह के होंगे वो लोग सोचते हैं कि बाढ़ आता है और हमारी बड़ी कमाई होती है तो हर साल बाढ़ आनी चाहिए इस समस्या का समाधान हम पब्लिक नहीं कर सकते हैं जब तक ये हमारी राजनीतिक सोच न बदले एक समस्या ये दूसरी ये भी एक समस्या है कि लोग जो है बिना सोचे समझे हर जगह बसना चाहते हैं हमारे गया शहर में बिल्कुल सूखा एरिया था वहाँ कभी बाढ़ जैसी समस्या नहीं होती थी लेकिन एक छोटा पहाड़ी नाला था उसमें उनका पूरा एरिया कैच करके लोग मकान बना लिए और इस वक्त इतनी बारिश हुई कि सारा डूब गया नाव चल रहा क्योंकि गया शहर में कभी ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि नाव चले फल्गू के पेट में बना लिए सब बात तो इन सब बातों पे हमें अपनी सोच और समझ को बदलनी होगी पुराना देखिए तो दरभंगा और बाकी शहरों में क्या था सारी मिट्टियाँ उठाकर किले बनाए जाते और किला पे घर बनता था और वो तालाब होता था जो कि बाहर का पानी आया 2 दिन 4 दिन रहा अब डर गया और अब जो है सारा सब कुछ मिल गया एक तो बांध की समस्या है वो भी टेक्नोलॉजी में गड़बड़ी में पुरानी टेक्नोलॉजी में नीचे एक छेद होता था जिससे कि मलबा बाहर निकल जाए लेकिन अब तो कुछ ऊंचाई के बाद ही रहेगा वो डैम बनना चाहिए और जब डैम बना तो बाकी सारी समस्याएं आपका रहता है तो इतनी समस्या इन समस्याओं का हम लोग कैसे बात करें दिनेश मिश्र जी तो परेशान हो गए उनकी कोई नहीं सुना इतना कुछ उन्होंने किया उनसे ज़्यादा उत्तर बिहार में काम ही नहीं किया लेकिन कोई सफलता नहीं मिली
तो इसमें प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि इसमें वो इंजीनियरिंग एजुकेशन का प्रॉब्लम वी आर ट्रेनिंग इंजीनियर्स ओनली इन वन काइंड ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी सीमेंट टेक्नोलॉजी वी हैव नॉट ट्रेन्ड आवर इंजीनियर्स टू लुक एट लेट्स से ब्रशवुड डैम वो पढ़ाते भी नहीं वो दिखता भी नहीं दे आर अनअवेयर तो माई आंसर इज दैट वी हैव टू हैव आवर इंजीनियर्स रीट्रेन्ड टू बिगिन टू थिंक that it's not just Kosi High Dam. There are 200 things. Even if Kosi High Dam you start building today, for instance, and you've got your financing, how big it is a problem. You can't even get the financing for 10 years. It's very difficult. That billions of dollars. If you got your financing, if you got your design, if you got your international agreement, contract, everything done. Now that itself is a big if. Okay. If you do that, then the first bulldozer moves in Kosi High Dam to the time the first turbine comes on is a minimum of 15 years. Minimum if nothing goes wrong. Which means it will probably be 30 years before it can be built. Okay. What are you going to do in between? Are you just going to wait and say 30 years I will wait until the Kosi High Dam is built? No. So my argument is, let us not deny also the Kosi High Dam as some solution somewhere, but let us not forget that we need to find immediate solutions for next year's bar. Okay. Now what are we doing on that? Nothing. And that is because we have not trained our engineers to really go to the grassroots. The difference between a Russian engineer and American engineers that I work with compared to the Babu Sahib engineers here that we have in Nepal and India is our engineers do not get their hands dirty. There they actually work. Engineer means he opens the engine and works with the engine. यहाँ वो बाबू लोग नहीं करेगा। Not only that, ये बड़े डैम से क्या होता है कि it will be Western big contractors and all, and to take rishwat from an outsider is easier than to take a rishwat from hundreds of their own people. So it's easier to give a contract to an Italian contractor and have a money put in a Swiss bank than to have 10,000, Bihari farmers working with Bihari engineers. You can't go collecting rishwat from 10,000 farmers. It's not possible. Politically, it's suicide.
I think there are questions. Excuse me. There are questions from here also.
Yeah.
My name is Ashok Kumar. My name is Ashok Kumar. I was a journalist with the board of Harvard South Asia. So we write on South Asian countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, and Sri Lanka. So, as you have rightly said, the integration or maybe common ground for different things is the need of the hour. This is also being evident in I guess of late the policy makers also. In the morning you had been there in the CIS secretary when Indian Environment Minister Mr. Anil Madhav Dave, he also spoke on the same lines as you are talking right now. So I guess realization is happening. Right now my question is actually on a little tangent, and it is like apart from other things which connect India and Nepal, excluding the Himalayas, is a high level of poverty. Also, baggage with women trafficking. Unfortunately, both the countries, despite living in the shelter of Himalayas and listening to the Himalayas, have faltered on this aspect. So, how do you think, bound or maybe bound as they are by the negatives like poverty and other challenges, including the ecological challenges, how can both the Nepalese and Indian communities complement each other in terms of the traditional knowledge and do away with things like women trafficking and other issues which are there for centuries and no sight is possible? If girls from Nepal are being sold into brothels of India, Indian girls are being sold into Middle East countries. So it's a vicious cycle which is happening, and though it's a social issue, but I guess somewhere as we talk about agriculture, climate change, environment, everything is interlinked. And it's very evident that when floods come, both in Nepal and below Nepal in India, the price tag of girls, it comes down. It comes down. You can buy a girl cheaper than a cattle. So it's a common problem for both these countries. So if we can leave the differences aside, and these are the common bigger monsters, challenges before both the countries. So how, according to you, the common people can connect and build a bridge, because waiting for the policy makers will be a very expensive thing because it might take years. So how can common people can make a connect, and what can be done actually? Because it's shameful on the global arena when we see that almost institutional front, all the development, it flies into your eyes when you see such things happening around you. So it's not just a matter of equity, it's a matter of shame and national pride also.
Okay. First of all, because I travel a lot, I have come to the conclusion that this poverty issue, bad as it is over here, it is not much better in the United States, let me tell you. It is even more horrendous for a country that rich. The kind of poverty you described, where people have to sell themselves, sell their children, it's almost as bad as that. You go to the bowels of Louisiana and these other places down there, and you see that kind of poverty. It's amazing, So there is that problem. It's the way capitalism has developed, and since the collapse of the Soviet Union and the Berlin Wall, the mad rush to liberalization has created even more inequity in the Western world, but also with ours, because we have gone for a mad business of just aping the West in terms of development, not doing the kind of, putting our society first. Okay. So that's my first kind of response. The second is, that on floods and these disasters, what we are finding out is that this is a very counterintuitive kind of a knowledge, is that, we generally tend to say the poorest of the poor are most, affected by disasters like flood. Well, our research has shown that that's not true. The fact seems to be that it is the lower middle class that's wiped out. The poorest of the poor, they never had enough land to feed themselves for a whole year. So what they had is maybe enough land to feed themselves for 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, whatever. And the remaining period they went out and did, in Nepali it's called nimek, they has to go out and work and labor, and then they come back for the growing season, and that's how the thing worked. So if a flood destroyed the crop, instead of working 4 months, they worked 8 months. So they had their social, you might say, insurance scheme there. The lower middle class had enough land to feed themselves for a whole year, and you had 1 year of drought, 2 years of drought, they're wiped out. You have one flood, and they're completely wiped out. Okay. Because they did not have that other cushion, which is called livelihood diversification. So one of the issues coming out in this thinking about poverty, and I used to chair one of the first what is called sustainable development of the poor by the poor kind of a first type of an NGO. We didn't call ourselves NGOs those days. This is in the early 80s. Okay? And what we learned over there was that in addressing poverty, it is not money. You can have all kinds of Karyakram, Rajiv Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi programs, the central government can go. That does more corruption than anything else. What seems to be the solution is to organize the poor, so that they have a collective bargaining skill. And we have got enough examples in Nepal about that. Now they call them microcredit, but that's destroying it. Our business was not to give credit, but to organize the poor so that their organized structure became the capital, the social capital. So this is where again this whole idea of green socialism comes in, that we got to rethink what do we mean by poverty, rethink what do we mean by strategy. Is government giving money, getting rid of poverty? No, it's just going to make a couple of middlemen very rich. Okay, in the floodplain areas of Bihar, that after a flood, they say that there are 3 seasons in Bihar. Flood, drought, and relief. The relief season, when come in sacks of money and distribute it to the big, what do you call dada of the area. And so the trick now of rethinking, green socialism is also going back to seeing how can the poor be organized to bargain with the state, with the market, and this is where the trick lies, I think. It's not, and in that case, then the social ills will slowly, nobody would like to sell their children, I'm sure. It's poverty that's driving them, desperation, okay? So once they have that social capital built, I'm pretty sure that, these social ills that you mentioned would start going down. So this is where we need to rethink socialism, we need to rethink green socialism. This is my point.
I think we're running out of time, and
I have heard
you are getting late, so very quick.
Yeah. So as we talk about development in in terms of dams and connecting rivers and all that, by default it so happens that our discussion, as we talk about development paradigms including dams and interlinking of rivers as the present government is thinking, the Indian government is thinking, most of our thoughts, they are like human-centric only.